Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy at the request of Patreon subscriber Toolbox Hero, and this is Bant Beanstalk. We are in Flow State's world. I am recording this post Secrets of Strixhaven release. However, this deck does not contain that card, nor do I think it should. In our episode on Eternal Glory podcast about Flow State, we talked about ways you can combat that card, and one of the ways to combat that card is to draw way more cards than them. And Up the Beanstalk is one of the engines that does that. Thalia Riddler is also one of the engines that does that. And this deck has both. Rather than meeting the tempo flow state decks where they are, I'm going to try to go way over top of them and stuff them back down. This deck has 10 point-and-click removal spells. That's almost as many threats as those decks play. Plus 4 Force Wills, that's 14 answers to however many threats those decks have, like 12. Endurance is nice at turning off flow state and doing things like snagging a Dragon's Rage Channeler, slowing down a Nethergoyf, all that kind of stuff. Up the Beanstalk, burying your opponent in actual cards, Life from the Loam, keeping you ahead of Wasteland, or getting a little Wasteland action of your own. And with 3 Thalia for Quantum Riddler, you have plenty of options to just jam and scam. This deck is kind of poor versus decks like Oops All Spells, or Allurin Omni Show. Don't really want that matchup. But it is very good against fair decks, and if Flow State is pushing the metagame into ultra fair decks, this could be a step up in the mid-range war. I'm going to try it. This is Bant Beans. Let's go in. I am on the draw in round 1. I'm going to keep this hand. No blue card for the Force is kind of tragic, but I'm not chipping a double Beanstalk setup, just in case my opponent kills me on turn 1. Ooh, a Teferi strategy. Still no blue card. A Wasteland. I don't like that. We do appear to be playing against probably some Thalia pile. A blue card. Bad news, dweebs. I'm going nuts. There is some temptation here. Ooh, okay. There is some temptation here to hold up removal. So A, I don't get stifled. B, they end step Thalia, whatever. I can answer it. But with the Wasteland already face up, I gotta make some moves here. Okay, I floated a green, and I think I actually want Tundra, because that does the most for the remaining cards in my hand. Beanstalk's in, found basic forest, let's go. That was a big fight, and I think I am ahead on it. And that's a good Wasteland, but I have basic forest. I have Solitude white card, which is also a cantrip. Oh, now look who's missing land drops. Also me. But now I have Force blue card with the Beanstalk. And this is the thing about big endgame control decks. If you try to put their genie in a bottle and you miss, you are behind. Like now my opponent has Stifle, Wasteland, Wastelanded, and they're also missing land drops. So we're basically the same spot, except I have an engine online and they don't. They pondered into a basic island. Oh, yeah. All right. I'm prepared to force a Stifle. They missed an entire land drop. Am I playing scared? I honestly just think I want planes here because my hand is so good. The second Beanstalk, the Thalia, I'll find a land before I'm worried about it. Honestly, right now, one of my main concerns is decking myself. Gotta make sure I can win the game before that happens. But with 2 Endurances in the main deck, that's actually really hard to do. Okay, Thalia resolves. I'm gonna plow it. Yep, you're out of here. Still can draw 4 cards basically at will with the Force and the Solitude. Another one. Let's battle. Okay, I could force Thalia now, or I could Solitude it after. I'm going to Solitude it after. Daze. Okay. I can respond to this Daze by Solituding their Thalia. Drew a bunch of things that aren't lands. Solitude the Thalia. I could force this Daze. I am still missing land drops. I'll take it. This is an Ancestral Recall's worth of cards. Yeah, there we go. And I'm back online. You could just be such an asshole with your cards when you have triple Beanstalk going. It just doesn't matter. I'm not going to fetch here because I have this Brainstorm. I can respect Stifle at least a little bit. Flooded Strand. I'd like to cast Teferi here. What's the best way to do it? I have a Savannah's worth of land types. I can't actually play Leyline Binding and Teferi this turn. And I don't actually want Volcanic Island if I'm going to get Xander's Lounge. All right, I'll get a Trop. And Teferi is naturally solid versus the card Felia, because they either can't flash it in, or they flash it in first and I bounce it. Sure. And then bounce that out of here. And pass. Now their deck that's built on Felia and Stifle has to beat a active Teferi. That was gnarly. Okay. Carpet of Flowers in. Prismatic Ending's probably good enough. Pyroblast. We saw Teferi. Presumably they have Riddler. They definitely have Stifle. I don't actually think I want Endurance in my deck. Really all that's for is stopping me from decking myself if I have triple Beanstalk going and the game goes grindy. But it's not actually good in the matchup. I could back off of Riddler a little bit and back off of Force of Will a little bit. These are both Beanstalk enablers. Like normally, I would be less interested in Force all around versus a deck like this one, but because I'm a Beanstalk deck, I want to keep my 5 drops flush. Okay, just slight upgrade to my interaction suite while keeping my deck intact. All right, I will keep this. My hand is not susceptible to Stifle. It is susceptible to Daze. It's not susceptible to Wasteland, but it will be eventually. I can't play around Wasteland forever. That's just how this works. This is the scary turn, because they're representing Felia. And if they go like... if I play Beanstalk and they resolve Felia, that's not great for me. If they just daze the Beanstalk, that's not great for me either. I could also just pass and threaten my own Felia. I could Brainstorm into white removal if they end step a Felia. End step Brainstorm. Okay. You can have that. Felia was the thing I was worried about here. This Brainstorm gives me the option to break tempo here by I end step the Felia, they gotta respond, then I can main phase a Beanstalk, and then we'll see what's going on. If I can stick a thing and they can't, I like it. Ponder. That was off of a basic island they just played, so I'm not getting Wastelanded this turn. Shuffled the Ponder. Another Ponder. Keep going. This means this is a whole turn cycle I don't have to think about Felia. This is awesome. Shuffled that Ponder as well. And I have 3 2-drops I'm happy to resolve. Let's have a fight. I'd love to see Force of Will. If I can get 2 cards off of this Felia that I don't even care that much about, that's awesome. Yeah, Force Pitching Stifle. You're out of here. And now with Force of Will in my own hand, I'm going up the Beanstalk. Did what I was supposed to do there. Force Negation pitching Quantum Riddler. This is worth it. Force pitching Brainstorm. I will recoup these cards very quickly. Especially with Trips Riddler as my hand. Pretty good turn cycle. I don't really want to play against Teferi, but I could figure it out if I had to. Okay, a Riddler from 1. That's pretty nice. Get to rebuild a couple of those cards. Wastelanded me. Now Stifle's actually kind of a beating. I hope they don't have that. Riddler's gone. Draw for turn. Going for it. Got away with it. I'm just going to try to draw a bunch of cards here. Hitting land drops is worth more to me than developing Felia right now. Swords to Plowshares. Oh, you got me. I did get the land through. Nice. What will I do without that Quantum Riddler? Brainstorm. They do have a Riddler in Warp over here. Let's not forget about that one. Teferi is a little tricky. That does take some of my tricks off the board. But Up the Beanstalk's not really a card you want to bounce. 1 card in their hand currently. They gotta think really hard right now about Leyline Binding and Pyroblast and Prismatic Ending. And they went plus. That's good for me. I am gonna get the Xander's Lounge in the end step. Carpet of Flowers would have beating. Alright. I mean, that's a sad miss. But I accept my fate. Can I draw a green source right now? A white source. Alright, whatever. I'll take it. That's Felia. Pass the turn. A passing with 4 mana up. I'm still flush with Felias. I don't mind losing one of these. However, it may occur. Alright, they're just out of gas. Cool. Up the Beanstalk, bullying the tempo deck. That is exactly what I said in the deck tech. This deck probably doesn't have flow state in it. I don't know where you'd get room for that card between the Riddlers and Felias and Stifles and everything. But a tempo deck, nonetheless. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. On the draw in round 2 versus a Yorion deck. I love my hand versus Yorion. Bunch of white removal. Ready to go. Can play on basic lands. Aether Vial. That is the one I didn't want to see. Alright, this is a little awkward because I kinda... And I don't have to play our own Wasteland, but I'm going to. There's a Beanstalk and a land to cast it. Perfect. Right, no shuffle, pass. I really wish my opponent had played any other card. I've still got counterplay for it. It's not a huge deal, but I do wish they played any other card. And they're currently showing potential Bowmaster. I am just going to rip off the Beanstalk because that makes my life better to have it around. If I have to each it on a Bowmaster, I accept. Am I going to cast 2 white spells next turn? It's possible. I could get Savannah instead of Trop. Yeah, that's probably better. Yeah, here is the world's most obvious Orcish Bowmaster. Oh, it's Felia. That's great. Never mind. No sadness here. Now I get to pick that off with Solitude. I don't even take damage along the way. Feels good. I think I'm going to do it on their upkeep, though. Okay, yeah. I was just trying to navigate the Aether Vial. I think I'm going to pitch Plow because answering the Aether Vial is going to be really important at some point. And I need that Leyline Binding to do that. Though pitching a Swords of Plowshares here stinks. I wish that was Teferi or some white card I don't care about. Another Beanstalk. I'm going to pass the turn, see if they vial anything in, and I'll exile the vial while it's tapped, probably. All right, yeah, I'm just going now. Like, if this is Felia they put in, that's fine. I just can't let this vial keep ticking. If it's Bowmaster, it was better to do it there, but they could have played Bowmaster. If it's a bluff, then I'm glad it's gone. That one kind of hurts. Not gonna lie. Of all the things they could put in, that is the scariest. Meteor Sword in the grip. Please don't also have Felia. Jeez! Alright. This is game winnable. I could break this up still. I'm just missing a white card for Solitude, and this wouldn't be a problem. Alright, do you want my lands or my engines? Lands are gone. Okay. This is still recoverable, actually. I just need a white card. Yeah, certainly here it would have been better to not remove the Aether Vial and see what came in. I guess I was worried about specifically Thalia, which might be a stupid thing to be worried about in 2026. All right, white cards achieved. Put back Brainstorm and Beanstalk. I can actually remove all their stuff here, which is nice. I'm going to just plow Thalia, and I still have Solitude as an option. Land, that was their draw for turn, because it's turn 5. They've missed multiple land drops here. All right, just attacking for 1. Did not equip the Meteor Sword, so they have other ways to spend mana. Flicker Wisp. Please go after the Stoneforge and not the sword. Oh, that sucks. I can't stop this from happening, so I guess I will see what the sword is targeting on the way back in. My lands. All right. I will, once again, Solitude, but going down 3 lands here is probably too many. And I know I'm not drawing 1 right now. Can they keep it going? Had a very good sequence so far. All right, equipping Meteor Sword now. All right, I am drawing Wild. Swords to Plowshares stabilizes me. A green or blue mana lets me play more cards from my hand. There's a green mana and a blue mana. I like both of those things. All right, I'm going to go second Beanstalk here. Try to have a huge next turn. That's nice. Potentially. White Orchid Phantom. I do have a basic forest in my deck. This is not Strip Mine. It does cut me off the color that casts Quantum Riddler. But any non-wasteland in my deck gets Leyline Binding going here. Ha, Wasteland from you. And another spell to cast. Or it's probably Yorion in hand and then try to just close the door next turn. Yeah, this would be a big turn to draw Force of Will, but I'm also dead to that. I need to... Okay. Yeah, that was a few too many Strip Mines. Frickin' Aether Vial. So I win that game on the play. I win that game if I'm more patient around the Aether Vial. I win that game if they don't have Aether Vial. I win the game if they don't have Flicker Wisp. If I ever have a Force of Will. Yeah, I mean, that was just super tight. I'm not tilting off. I'm just assessing how close that actually was. All right, a bunch of removal stuff comes in here. Knight of Autumn. This deck from Toolbox Hero, who is normally playing Greensun Zenith style strategies, and, you know, as his name suggests, he likes a toolbox. Knight of Autumn, Toolbox Hero special. All right, Teferi stinks. Life from the Loam is okay, I guess. Endurance does close to nothing. My opponent probably has pre-war formal wear in their deck, but Endurance is not the solution to that. I can go a little less Force of Will, but I do like having those generic answers, especially against the deck where all of their stuff has powerful enters the battlefield abilities. Dealing with it on the stack is pretty important. Yeah, don't think I need all my Wrath of the Skies. Okay, here we go. Oh, baby. This does not look very good. And I have my mana, and I have a removal spell for the first thing. Do I play a Surveil Land? I don't think so. No. The Xander's Lounge takes up the space Surveil Land would occupy. It's actually closer than you might think, because Mana Denial is one of the ways they win the game. I will mulligan, but that was actually really close. All right, here we go. Rewarded for the mulligan. Keep this nice, tasty little hand. I can consign to memory Aether Vial. It will be out of here if they try that. Vista. All right, right now I have to decide if I'm playing on basics or leaning in on Wasteland. I think I'm going Domain right now. Xander's Lounge Savannah. Having seen the White Orchid Phantom, fetching out all my basics isn't really even playing around all of their things. And I only had the ability to fetch 2 basics, not 3. Beanstalk, Thalia. Shield's currently down. Or I could Solitude and draw a card. What's this in the end step? Prismatic Vista can't get a Surveil Land. Okay, just grabbing basic Swamp. Creepy. Overlord of the Baelmerk. I hate that guy. Alright, please miss. Deck, or graveyard currently empty. A lot of creatures in the deck, but they're not entirely in charge of what happens here. Hit White Orchid Phantom and 3 non-creatures. Okay, White Orchid Phantom in the hand. Good to know. Played around it. Leyline Binding. That's pretty decent. I kind of want to Brainstorm and hit my next land, but I also have just Consign plus Binding available right now. Right, I'm going to Brainstorm. Got there on the land. Put back Wrath of the Skies. Or Wrath of the Skies might be my pitch to Solitude. Put back Binding and Riddler. Okay, pretty good. I don't need to bind this Overlord of the Baelmerk. Hopefully they just have like Flicker Wisp and I can consign the return it to play trigger and it's gone forever. Okay, the Phantom is on the stack. I can consign this. I could let it shuffle my deck for me. Top card is Quantum Riddler. I do want that. All right, I'm going to let this resolve. And maybe I actually just play Thalia here. This comes in tapped, right? Yeah, disappointing. All right, so I can lose the Binding and the Riddler on top of my deck to develop Thalia. Or I could Leyline Bind, Overlord, draw Quantum Riddler. I think I'm happy with Thalia in play. So this is the last chance of 1 mana Leyline Binding. It's just not possible anymore. All right, fine. I will Leyline Bind while it costs 1 and take out the Overlord. This does have some risks attached because my opponent could like Witch Enchanter and then they have a fully active Overlord. Do I want Plains or Island? I do have a double white card in my hand, but I have Riddler. I'm not going to consign Riddler into play. That's just not the use of that card in this matchup. So off that. Cool. Developed a land. I could Riddler to draw a bunch of cards. I could Wrath for 2, but I think holding up Thalia and Solitude and Consign to Memory is the best use of this turn. Arrakis. Thalia is a lot worse now. Okay, end step Thalia. Still going to do it. Make him use that mana. Or flush out a Swords to Plowshares. Deal. Another Binding. Binding costs 3 right now. I think I'd like to draw a bunch of cards with Quantum Riddler through my own Caracas. A good tool for the matchup. Hey, this Misty Rainforest could make Leyline Binding cheaper, but if I have Caracas in play, I don't need to Leyline Bind Felia. I can just bounce it. Hey, there it is. Okay, I will go to your turn. Fetching. Witch Enchanter. Yes, this was on the radar of things I have to be concerned about. That's why I consign to memories in my deck right now. And this is not a trigger. This is the new style Oblivion Ring. Like, if this was Oblivion Ring, I could let them destroy it and consign the trigger that returns Overlord. That's actually safer, because then I don't have to worry about the next Witch Enchanter. But this is the one that as soon as this is gone, Overlord's back. That doesn't work for me. Consign that. Bounce Felia. I take 2. Now Solitude's on the hard cast. We have crossed into the late game, officially. Ponder. Yeah, I'll use Ponder. I got the mana. I can afford it. Another Consign, another Riddler, and up the Beanstalk. I like all of these cards. Can I take a turn off of casting this Solitude? I think I can. If I go Riddler, Beanstalk, Consign, no shuffle, Beanstalk draws a card. This is a matchup you have to watch out for decking yourself in. That may seem like a meme or not that likely to happen. You're wrong. Happens all the time if you're not careful. Thoughtseize. Ew. But I like all the cards in my hand. Alright, whatever. Sorry, Solitude. I tried to give you a chance in this world. Took the Solitude. Lion Sash. Okay. I don't really care about that. Wrath of the Skies does blow up my Beanstalks, which is obviously not ideal. But if I tap enough mana, I can draw 2 cards on the way out. Right, do I just want to cast Quantum Riddler this turn? Leave up the Caracas. Lion Sash is pretty big here. All right, Volcanic Island. I could also warp this Quantum Riddler and just have all my options available. I'm going to cast Riddler. There's a land, another land. I do like lands. And a Swords to Plowshares. Good stuff all around. All right, now I have Activate Caracas or Plow Something and Consign still up. I can also Leyline Binding instead of any of those things, but I suspect I'm going to need to use some of those things. Okay. Oh, I've been eroded. Look at me with all my basic lands in my hand. Well done, opponent. All right. Cooked, bro. And happen to draw the forest right now. Cool. First live action erode I have seen played. Makes sense in a deck with White Orchid Phantom. You flush out the basics and eventually you just get a removal spell. In going 1-for-1 versus a card that already drew 5 cards is not really great, you know? Like that gaining 4 life here would have mattered if this was Plow instead. But mostly they just answered something that already did a lot. And my hand is still full of good cards. I probably am going to Wrath of the Skies next turn. My opponent's starting to run out of cards. Decking myself is a concern. Clearing out my Beanstalks, it's a little early to do that, but at some point it might actually make the difference. And if opponent wants to go all in on Lion Sash, I did draw a Plow. This is an attack for 8. They could put me to 1 here. Oh, they're going all the way in? Sure. Oh, wow. Yeah, actually all the way in. Oh, yeah, presenting lethal. Good one. This is not going to work out for them, but cool stuff. Okay, Leyline, Binding. What can they do? Like, I could just Plow this thing. I don't really want them to have 7 more life, though. I don't think a single black mana in this deck can answer an enchantment at its instant speed, because the way the rules work is if they were to destroy that in response to its trigger, the card is never gone. All right, I'm at 7, and I think it's time to Wrath these Skies. Force of Will, nice follow-up. Okay, Wrath of the Skies. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. My opponent does control a 4-drop, and I want the board empty. As long as I don't accidentally do it for 6, we're fine. So this will trigger the Beanstalks, and then clear basically everything off the board except my Findings, and I will discard a Misty Rainforest to hand size. All right, time to turn the corner. Opponent's got 3 cards in hand, one of them's Felia. 2 cards in hand, one of them's Felia. I have Yori on Mega covered. I could force it, I can plow it in play, I can consign its trigger that would return anything to the battlefield. This one's interesting. I don't want to spend force on this, but I also understand how quickly things can spiral out if this stays in play. I think I actually will just consign this trigger. So I'm pretty good at answering random bodies right now. Okay. Tundra from hand. Quantum Riddler just in Riddler mode. Force backup, I can plow all the things I can see. That's Riddler, or Recruiter if I need to, the Felia from their hand, and the Yorion in exile. I don't think I'm going to ponder here. Chillin'. Yorion's in hand now. If my opponent can set up a Thoughtseize, strip the forest, resolve Yorion, that's actually pretty gnarly. Ponder. Bunch of wastelands. Do I want those? And removing Caracas from play is not nothing. All right. I'll take them. Wasteland, do I want the Caracas or the Backstreet? I'm actually going to hit Backstreet. I don't have any legends right now. It's fine. Do I want to damage race? You're dead in 4 hits. I'm dead in 7 hits. Let's go. Yeah, they should be using the Felia. They at least make me tap mana to keep this thing out of play. Bounce Felia. Take 1 from Recruiter. I hope I don't get ninjutsu'd. That would be messed up. I don't know what ninja they would have, but please don't. Just try to think of anything that could go wrong here. I'm at 6. Oh, no, thank you. Okay, using the Force of Will here is tough, but I know there's a Wasteland on top, which could take out Caracas, which is their mana that would cast Yorion. I do have 1 Force and 1 Consign left in the deck as well that I can ponder to look for. I'm also pretty good at mitigating Yorion by like plowing anything it would flicker and then bouncing it with Caracas. Another Consign. Easy money. Take it. Take the Consign. Wasteland the Caracas. There's Felia. There goes Felia. Okay, I'm in pretty good shape here. Opponent has to draw a land. Okay, Wasteland is here. You should attack first. Okay, Yorion resolved. I could just plow the Recruiter. Yeah, I think that's how I'm going to do this. Plow Recruiter. Yorion's just a 4/5. I can bounce. This doesn't change the damage race at all. And I get to keep Consigned to Memory for the Solitude they're about to top deck or something. Okay. Ponder. Force of Will. Lock it down. Bounce Yorion. Play a land. Opponent is dead on board, and I have 3 pieces of interaction. Stoneforge Mystic. Does that do anything? It can get pre-war formal wear. Alright, Stoneforge can resolve. They have 1 unknown card in hand, where if I can get my opponent to commit all of their mana, I don't have to worry about that 1 unknown. But if I like force the Stoneforge and get Riddler plowed, that's not great. Okay, do I want to show them Force of Will or show them Consigned to Memory? I'll show them Force of Will. Knowing how many consigns I have is actually meaningful. Force, they know that my deck has 4. Whether they're all in or not, debatable. But they know my deck has 4. I haven't shown them anything that they don't know by doing that. Cool. And we get a game 3. Sick battle. I love playing against Death and Taxes with these decks. It's always so much to navigate. It's a lot of fun. 2 feels like the right number of Wrath. Do I want more Force of Will on the draw? Not a lot more, but maybe 1 more. Like, they are a deck with 4 Caracases. Maybe I can just play 1 less Felia and focus on my other things. I'll try this. I only actually have Quantum Riddler, Solitude, Knight of Autumn, and Felia to win a game with. 1 land's a little dicey, but it's also got Ponder. You know what we do around here. Opponent's on a mulligan. Consigned to Memory. I am not holding that up on turn 1. I am going to get my basic island. Playing scared. But I am actually scared of missing a land drop here. Ponder, show me 3 lands. All right, I'll take 2 lands. Deal, deal, deal. And it is the perfect basic forest, basic plane spread of fetch lands if fetching basics is what I want to do. But having seen 2 different things that pull basics out of my deck, that's a decision I have to make. I hope they don't do anything I need to force this turn. because I'd rather do that without the Beanstalk in play. I don't have any white cards, so things like Stoneforge Mystic have to be forced. Well, I have a white card, but not one that I'm close to casting meaningfully. Surveil to the top. Basic Plains represents Felia or Bowmaster. I'm going to run out the Beanstalk, and if they're smart, they'll respond to the Beanstalk with the Felia, so I don't get an extra card. Yep, I hate when they're smart. Force pitching Brainstorm. Another consign. I have decided to trust up the Beanstalk and Quantum Riddler to be my cards, getting rid of a card like Brainstorm over the consign. Recruiter snuck one in on me. Where's that going? Stoneforge Mystic, okay. A reasonable decision. All right, Warp Riddler, before I make my land drop, they're not going to daze me. How messed up would it be if they did, though? Okay, now I actually have a decision. I could scam this Riddler out, but I think I want to just hold up Consign to interact with my opponent. That does mean I have to fetch Tundra. Stoneforge Mystic, I'm going to counter this trigger. Tundra, Consign. They did conveniently leave up mana to follow up with a White Orchid if they want to blow up this Tundra, cycle it into a Plains. Okay, didn't have it, or they're lining up a Felia. I could Quantum Riddle, draw 2 cards here, or just sit on this Leyline Binding. And I think sitting on Leyline Binding is the better play. I am just so dead to a Felia right now. Bowmaster, okay, that's not Felia. That gives me a window to bind something else. All right, I guess I want to bind Stoneforge Mystic. The problem is Witch Enchanter. All right, no, I'm actually going to take Recruiter and just hope that they don't have a powerful weapon in their hand. And this lets Wrath of the Skies for 2 clean the whole board, where it would have had to been for 3 to get the other guy. Thoughtseize. All right. Probably going to take... Well, Riddler and Wrath are both interesting choices here. Or they could set up a huge Yori on turn and take the Consign. They're down to 1 card in hand. I took the Wrath. Please don't have Witch Enchanter as your last card. Attacking with everybody. Having something like Shredder Rising, a ninja that picks up Stoneforge Mystic, is actually sick. Okay, Flicker Wisp. Resetting Stoneforge. All right. I can manage that by either killing the Stoneforge or consigning the trigger of whatever weapon it gets. Meteor Sword. All right. Okay. My options here. I could... Oh no, I can't fetch Xander's Lounge. This is the one fetch land that doesn't get it. All right, I can't get Lounge. I can make Binding cost 2, but then I won't have white mana up anymore. I could... Yeah, Binding costs 2. What happens? I still have Consign up, but Bowmaster's gone. I take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Nearly dead. But I'm not winning this game with Bowmaster in play. And I have to fetch to make that play. I'd be at 3. It's not a lot of life. They can also Meteor Sword pretty much whenever they feel like it. It's an additional layer of complication. And Consign to Memory or Binding costing 3 doesn't really change my play this turn, though if I draw... What could I draw? Having double white in the future actually seems more useful. Do I have another Tundra? I do have 2 Tundras. Okay, I guess I'm playing this Windswept Heath and passing the turn. Passing the turn gets cooked by a second Bowmaster, but I'm not beating that anyway, so I'm not playing around it. All right, beginning of combat, that's good for me. Does it matter when I Binding? Because Bowmaster will be worth 1 in combat and 1 ping. Okay, yeah. Binding after combat is the same damage. Okay. Go ahead and attack. They actually could have kept their Bowmaster if they go pre-combat Meteor Sword, equip something that's not Bowmaster, like equip Orc Army with the Meteor Sword. That's actually pretty much just dead. I don't think I can navigate that. And I'm at 6. Yorion's in the hand. End step. Leyline Binding. Target Orcish Bowmaster. And hope that I find something really good here. So far, no. And Thoughtseize is a really good card. Does anyone know about that one? Okay, here comes the Meteor Sword. It's targeting my other Binding. I have to consign this, and they knew this was here. They're paving the way for this Yorion to do the most next turn. Okay, I am pretty much just literally dead here. I need to Quantum Riddler into multiple answers to multiple problems. They can equip Meteor Sword. They have lethal without it. And Yorion can just show up and blink all this shit, and then all my permanents are gone. I think I should draw a bunch of cards with the Riddler first and see where that takes me. Ponder. Another binding. Okay, I can bind 2 things now. I have to fetch to 3 to do it, because I do need the boy, the Xander's Lounge. Yeah, I'm... Alright, I'm gonna pass and just hope my opponent takes a sequence that doesn't do it. Though there are not very many of those. Thoughtseize, settle down. Alright. Yeah, the Thoughtseize clears it because now, even if I remove 2 things pre-combat, they just equip Sword and kill me. Well, I'll continue giving them the opportunity to mess up, which was my out anyway. Xander's Lounge. Leyline Binding. Yeah, 2 clutch Thoughtseizes here. This one less clutch than the last one. Binding. Maybe they'll forget they can equip their sword. Though, I've seen them do it in this match already, and they've played pretty well. Though, unlikely. Ponder's gone. Figured it out. Nice one. Awesome match. On to the next round. This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. And groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there. I'm on the draw in round 3 versus Thraben University, my podcast co-host and YouTuber. I'm going to mulligan this no-lander. I'm going to keep this lands and spell hand. Alright, Phil does skew towards decks that might make this irrelevant, but he does also like... Oh wow, look at this poser. Flow State Delver? Boring. Alright, that's fine though. I think I actually do just want to rip this plow off into days because Up the Beanstalk's more important for me. Before you get any surveil off of that. Force of Will. Pitching Brainstorm. Okay, deal. Alright, well, we can test my theory that Up the Beanstalk might be good enough to go over the top of Flow State Delver. Another Channeler. And a Ponder. Go nuts, bro. Mill to Brainstorm. Kept a card. There is sorcery and instant in the graveyard now. Didn't shuffle the Ponder, as we would expect when Ponder doesn't, or when DRC does not surveil. I am going to get the Forest and develop the Beanstalk. This puts my blue mana in a tenuous position moving forward. That's not my most important color. White is in this matchup. Show me the flow state. There it is. Okay. Casually looking at 5 cards here and getting to keep 2 of them. Wasteland to the bin. We talked him out of it. Another Wasteland to the bin. Cool. I really didn't want to see those, so I'm glad. Back to 4 cards in hand. Bauble. This gives Delirium. Shredding another 2 cards of selection. And here come the beats. Daze is on right now, unless I draw a fetch land. Leyline Binding. Okay, I will try to bind one of these fellas. I haven't seen like 10 cards. 12 cards, way more than that actually, since the last time forced. Alright, yep. Force pitching Boomerang basics. I get to draw a card. Solitude would be a nice one. Teferi. Yeah, Teferi just stinks in this matchup. It would be fine against 1 creature, but opponent has 2. I don't like those numbers. I am glad that was a Force of Will and not a Daze, though. I'll take my wins where I can find them. Am I getting double bolted? Or just Murktide? I think I have no outs to this situation. I don't play enough. I guess if I draw Xander's Lounge, I can play a 1-mana Leyline Binding, which might cantrip into Swords to Plowshares. And it's the Windswept Heath. Can't even get Xander's Lounge. Or Volcanic Island. I guess the play is the same, though. Leyline Bind, targeting Murktide, hope to draw Swords to Plowshares, even then I'm mostly dead. Bind this. Ponder could still find Solitude. Shuffle that. Solitude. Oh no, no green card. We almost did something there. Yeah, Flow State, hell of a card. To the sideboard we go. Pyroblast, Wrath of the Skies, Prismatic Ending, Carpet of Flowers. Force of Will can mega chill out. Teferi's not very good. I don't know that I want to be on 0 Force of Will, but maybe 1. Yeah, the endurances are actually good here. That makes my life more challenging. Maybe I don't need all my wraths. Caracas is a white source, but oh, it also protects Felia. My opponent's deck doesn't have any legends, so if I'm looking at a land, I could trim, because I have gone up Carpet of Flowers. I could also trim a Wasteland. I'm not really going to be wasting this opponent. That's not my plan. All right, I'm actually going to do that. I like my spells too much. There's that Caracas. Got a mulligan this hand, though. Son of a biscuit. Going straight to 5. Okay, this hand does stuff. Endurance, and it's probably Leyline Binding to the bottom. If I'm going to high roll anything, Felia is going to be involved, and coming back from a mull to 5, I think that is where I need to be. Flooded Strand, pass. So that last game, if I just... No, my opponent had Force, not Daze, on the DRC. I was just thinking where I could have bought a little more breathing room. But he literally forced every spell I played that game. That mattered. Right, Bobbling Yourself. Must have liked the card. Another Flooded Strand. I could play on basics here. I'm just going to play the Tundra. Misty from the Op. If he plays Quarry Steel here, I'm going to play Felia in response. All right, Dragon's Rage Channeler. I think... Do I want to develop Felia here? Opponent's bobbling me. I do hate turning on Daze, but I also hate playing scared, especially when I'm behind on resources. I'm going to go for this Felia. If it eats a Force of Will, we're good regardless. If I get Dazed, that sucks. If it gets Lightning Bolted, that's also fine. All right, that's the one that sucks. All right, deck, I get it. I get it. I'm good on lands. You can stop. All right, end step Brainstorm. I'm going to let him resolve this. Dumped a Murktide. I hate that. That must mean he's got another one, because, like, prime Murktide situation here. And letting the Brainstorm fully resolve gives him more chances to find Force of Will, but it also gives him the chance to think Dragon's Rage Channeler is safe. That timing was intentional. Okay, I got a 2-for-1, though the Channeler is still in play. Wasteland, I don't care about. If there's one thing I got, it's lands. Up the Beanstalk, let's go. Hide my white source. Okay, Endurance was one of the better cards I could draw here if I don't get Murktided right now. That option was available last turn and he didn't take it. We know there's a Volcanic Island in hand. Flow State, okay. Actually fine. Compared to getting Murktided here, yes, please, thank you, goodbye. Another land. Okay. I'm going to fetch Savannah. And I'm going to Endurance right now. Trying to snag him in combat just gives him more opportunities to cast Murktide. Like, I would do it in the upkeep if I didn't do it now. And right now, there's no mana open. Yeah, this is the Flow State gameplay. You just get Force of Will all the time, and you never run out of cards. This is 2 games in a row where he's had Force of Will twice for game-altering spells. Thundering Falls. Dumped a Wasteland. Gave up on that one. Life total getting small here. 9, I'm still pretty comfortable. 6 is when you're in terrible shape. This double bolt is just so easy to come up with. Flow State, yeah, here we go. Keep it flowing. I think I am going to fetch the Xander's Lounge right now. Just get that out of the way, maximize my possibility of getting a chain going. I was just going to say Riddler would be pretty nice here. Okay, play my land, Warp Riddler. And can I get the full every card, or do you have another Force of Will? A third Force of Will, yep. Welcome to Flow State Gaming. All right, I get to draw a card, 1 card. Ah, you idiot, you sucker idiot. Show me the 4th Force of Will. All right, Leyline Binding. That does actually play. Riddler draws 2 here. Carpet of Flowers, you don't say. Do I have a green source left? I believe I do. This is busted if it works. All right, Carpet of Flowers. Don't daze me, bro. Okay. We're actually going to do this. Okay. I guess I have to make white to not be dead. This draws 2 more cards, stabilizes the DRC, and pass the turn with an insane setup. I'm at 7 life, don't kill me. Core Steel Cutter, that is the haste thing. Dragon's Rage Channeler, I'm taking 2 here. Going to 5, that is the critical bolt range, and I need to come up with multiple answers here. Come on, white cards. Pyroblast, not really what I'm after. Alright, I am going to make a bunch of blue here. That can let me... Do I want to do this Riddler from hand? I could brainstorm first, see what's going on with the rest of my options. If I end up with multiple white cards to play, I'd actually prefer my land drop available. We did it. Okay. Island goes away. And I'm going to draw a bunch of these cards again. Do I want another Beanstalk? Is this where the game's going? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 mana. That's enough to not have room for Beanstalk. Do I want to fetch to 4? Does that change anything? Okay, Beanstalk's gone. I'm going to fetch for a Tundra, probably. Tundra it is. And is there any sequencing that will get me more cards? I don't think so. Lead on the Leyline Binding. Another Riddler. I think I have to take out Dragon's Rage Channeler. The Core Steel Cutter does make me nervous, but it's possible that won't generate another thing where it's not possible for Dragon's Rage Channeler to not be a 3/3. Okay. I'm nervous. I'm dead to Lightning Bolt. Pass. Naturally, I draw Endurance, which would actually have made the Dragon's Rage Channeler the better take. Or the better thing to leave in play. All right, there is a spell. I hope that card in hand is not a spell. Jeez! Not just a spell, it's a game-ending removal spell. All right. Yeah, I mean, I got flow stated 3 times, force will 3 times, and still had to rip out of that. And he had to draw a spell. Probably had the Pyroblast already, held back the DRC. But yeah, okay. Flow state gaming. So this is an opportunity to talk about the theory of if you have more cards than them, you will beat them. And that is true, but they will have more cards than you faster, and you do have to survive that phase of the game. And I spent a lot of that game with blue and green cards in my hand, where I think literally if I have a Swords to Plowshares on that Dragon's Rage Channeler a little earlier, we're fine. Like, one more turn here, I'm drawing 6, 8 cards, whatever. I can blow up their graveyard at will. I can answer a Murktide. I can counter a Flow State. I'm pretty set up. I've just ran out of life points. And that is made possible by Flow State. On to the next round.
The NYSE Open is returning on June 6, 2026 to Long Island, New York. This proxy-friendly vintage tournament has the guaranteed prize pool of 8 pieces of Power 9 to be drafted by the top 8 based on final standings. Any additional profits made from the event will be added to the prize pool as on-site vendor credit. This tournament has been great the last 2 years. How often do you get to act sad about winning just a time walk? You know I'll be there. See you at the NYSE Open on June 6 on Long Island, New York. Use my link in the video description or find the New York Stacks Exchange on melee.gg.
I am on the play in round 4. I'll keep my hand. Little clunky, but I like a Brainstorm. I like a Solitude. Urza's Saga. Haven't played it against any of those yet in this league. Force of Will. I don't think there are any 1-drops I would play here. Or Ponder. Yeah, I would cast Ponder. I don't know the matchup yet, though, so I am gonna be chill. Okay. Well, Chrome Mox action. A red card exiled. Trinisphere. Interesting. I think I'd like to brainstorm in response and then see if I have a good answer to this thing before I just rip off the force on it. Brainstorm. Hit a bunch of lands. And a bunch of lands is one of the ways you could play through Trinisphere. Though it's also a way to play through whatever else is going on here. Really hate to lose Riddler, but I don't think I want this Trinisphere in play. And I'm actually not going to shuffle because this gives me access to a big spread of basic lands if opponent follows up with Blood Moon. I could get Plains Forest or Forest Island or Plains Island. The spread is there. I am going to fetch in response. I think I want Plains and Island. That casts Leyline Binding. That gives me Plains, Island, Mountain if they Blood Moon. Or I don't have Leyline Binding now, though, unless they Blood Moon. So that might have been supposed to be Forest, because I don't care about Blood Moon, and now I can't interact in any other way. Yeah, that was probably just bad. The second Trinisphere, okay. And I can't remove it right away because I fetched wrong. Deal. I accept. They pass the turn. They've spent so much time setting up this shit that I'm almost at Hardcast Solitude, which has to be good. Fable of the Mirror Breaker is in. I'm going to fetch a Tropical Island and get rid of the Fable in the end step. Okay, pass the turn. Hope they're just about out of gas. I hope you needed that Fable Chapter 2. I'll hold the Solitude until the beginning of combat in case there's broadsides. Okay, there was not. Solitude, go in. Alright, I hope their hand is full of Chrome Moxes that cost 3 because of Trinisphere. Please don't play the One Ring. No, we had a deal. We had a deal. Untap that mana. Stop it. Stop it. God damn it. My opponent is a liar and a thief. We had a verbal agreement that you wouldn't cast the One Ring right now. Okay, so I need a Leyline Binding to answer that thing now. Alright, well, I've been granted a second shot. I can look at 2 cards and cast 2 cards this turn. Endurance, Brainstorm. That's not it. Shuffle. Ended up with the Endurance anyway. And not the mana to cast it. And this Urza Saga is going to start making 5/5s. It's over, team. I think I'm more likely to win this game if I get a card draw engine going than by trying to square up with these constructs. Alright, I am legally allowed to play this. I'll take it. Through Brainstorm and Swords to Plowshares. Okay. Plow plus Solitude will eventually deal with these constructs. That gives them a lot of life to keep One Ringing, though. I drew a bunch of cards, got a 5/5. It's about to be a 7/7. Kind of my hope and my out here is that Trinisphere locks these cards in their own hand hard enough that they can't double spell or triple spell, and like doing things like Pitch Fury and cast Broadside in the same turn is difficult. They do currently have 6 mana to do 2 things. Pyroglyph, that's pretty big. Solitude's gone. Go to 10. I am going to pass the turn. I could plow one of these things and chump block the other with Endurance. Ring activation. Endurance also, my opponent has land, enchantment, artifact, and then I have creature, sorcery, instant, and land. So my opponent's graveyard is some stats on this Pyroglyph. It's not nothing. Broadside Bombardiers. That one's probably good enough. All right, that resolves. Okay, I get it. You've drawn half your deck. Good job. Do you want an encore? Do you want a standing ovation? I don't give a shit. All right, Consign to Memory. Wrath of the Skies. Night of Autumn. These cards come in. Teferi once again stinks. Teferi and Endurance. I mean, these are clearly flex slots, but I don't think they are necessarily good ones. I think they solve matchups that we're not actually playing against in present-day Legacy. Right, we're not a lone matchup. And getting more action on your Wastelands is fine, but my opponent's not destroying my lands. If anything, they're going to Blood Moon me. Force of Negation should probably be in as well. This is a lot of stuff. In these ultra-fast matchups, you can shave Ponders, especially if they have stuff like Trinisphere or Chalice of the Void. I like my ability to Felly a Scam. I like my generic removal. I like my pitch interaction. I like my land count. Maybe I can go slightly less consign because I have the Force of Negations. Velia seems great, actually. I can slow down off of a Beanstalk as well. Those are Beanstalk and Ponder are just kind of slow cards in a matchup that don't always let you cook. Oh, I probably want this Prismatic Ending in too, but I've already clicked submit. Bummer. Mulligan that. All right, ready. I'll keep this. And I think it's Brainstorm that goes. Though I do have a lot of forces in my deck right now. I could get rid of Wrath. Though turn 2 Wrath wiping up an Urza Saga and some Chrome Moxes could be nutty. Yeah, I think it's actually Beanstalk or Brainstorm, and I'm gonna go against Brainstorm. Chrome Mox. I would love it if my opponent goes Urza Saga Chalice on 1. That would be so sick. Hexing Squelcher pitched. Another Squelcher. Okay. You have that card now. I can remove that card if I need to. This is a lot of Beanstalks. Do I want to get Beanstalk going? There's a good chance I Solitude something. All right, I'm going to fetch basic planes. I know I don't have blue mana right now, but I also don't have blue cards. And I gotta try to navigate the various things that might be problems for me. Okay, pass the turn. I just don't think Felia is going to line up well. And if I could get my card engine going, because my opponent's start is pretty modest. They're about to have an uncounterable One Ring, but, what are you going to do? Trinisphere. I think I should take the cycle now while I have it. Do I believe in Wrath of the Skies or Felia moving forward? I think I like Felia more. Solitude, another land. Get rid of this dope. And Trinisphere's in. Off you go. Have fun. Another Wrath, pretty sweet. I think I want to develop, or do it. Well, Beanstalk and Felia both die to Wrath of the Skies, especially if it's big enough to kill any of my opponent's permanents. So I'm going to develop the thing that hurts my opponent in the meantime. All right, Op's got 6 mana and didn't do anything with it. Suspicious. I'll grab a basic island and get Felia into play. Leyline Binding. Okay, now we're talking. I could have Trinisphere out of play for your turn or out of play for my turn and in play for your turn. That's kind of funny. Yeah, I think I'm going to flicker out Trinisphere. And that lets me have a big development turn. If I spike a Consigned to Memory, Trinisphere could stay gone if I'm even worried about it, which is to be determined. Second Beanstalk. Find Xander's Lounge. That's Domain. Do I want to Binding this Chrome Mox and draw 2 cards right now while the getting's good? I think I do, actually. Because I can attack with Felia, flicker out Leyline Binding, Chrome Mox comes back, who cares, and then permanently bind something else. All right, Trinisphere's back. They've come up with a spell. It's 4 mana. Great. Yeah, after doing nothing last turn when this would have resolved, now suddenly it's here. That's okay, though. I do have the out of flickering out the binding and taking it away. It's just a 4 mana draw 1. I have to be okay with that. They attack, flicker out binding. You can have your Chrome Mox back. Would you like to exile half your hand to have 1 mana? They do, actually. Exile Magus of the Moon. Interesting. All right, get that One Ring out of here. Pass to you. This Brainstorm's actually really good. My hand is bad, and I have a fetch land up. All right, cool. Now I got to get one on the draw. Yeah, Consigned to Memory looks better than average against this build of the deck. Wrath of the Sky's actually kind of clunky and bad. If they're not on Urza Saga, I don't actually want that card. I'm just going to make that switch. Oh, this Prismatic Ending's still just waiting for me to remember it's there. Can I get this in? Do I want 1 Wrath to dig for? Too late. Not sure where I would have landed on that one. Okay, my hand is not going to pass a force check, but it is quite durable. Playing normal Magic, we'll see what happens. Saga. Glad I didn't board out a second Wrath. Right now I do pass a force check. And I can play on basic plains, basic forests if I have to. Ancient Tomb. All right, just Saga gaming. I think I can overwhelm a Saga game. Basic plains. What is this? Okay, we're just making a construct in response. Get your F6 value. You got it. Beanstalk, found Consigned to Memory. Plans coming together slowly, but my opponent's start has also been slow. I appreciate it. Wow, just a float. The turn 1 Urza Saga is so much less scary if they don't actually make constructs with it. Braid pitched. If they have Soul Land into Hexing Squelcher One Ring, I'm pretty bummed out. But I can remove the One Ring after drawing 1 card. If they just have some big slam here, I have the Force, which is good for a card. Pyroglyph. 2/3 Pyroglyph. I don't think this is where I spend Force of Wills. Not with a handful of white removal. My life total is a resource. Another Force. Okay. I'm going to pass the turn to my opponent. I can Leyline Bind once, or I can plow and do other things. I think I'll be plowing Pyroglyph. Yeah, I'm going to plow that before combat. That one's just scary with the second Pyroglyph. doing the double damage. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. I think this one is forcible. It just does too much. Pitch the Brainstorm. Another force. Hell yeah. This is the game we signed up for. Thalia! That makes my game plan much more interesting. Nice. Okay. I was just gonna go Quantum Riddler here, but now if I could full scam the Riddler and be beating them down, have the bigger creature, draw a bunch of cards with the forces still kicking around, this is huge. It's huge. All right, well, I'll force that again. I've got a plan to actually pull ahead. I'd love to see a blue card in my million cards I'm about to draw. Wrath of the Skies, that might be even better. Oh, I get to do both. Oh my god. Sit down and shut up. Here we go. I am going to fetch for Tropical Island and then scam a Riddler, who will draw 2 cards. Found the blue card for force. I don't think this game is remotely losable anymore, for the record. Wrath puts you to just Ancient Tomb for permanence. And shut the door. Yeah, this is what Phil did to me last round. Just have triple force and steady pressure. Good stuff. 4 mana. Not the One Ring. Another one. Doing my best flow state impression with my other card draw engines. Okay, cool. That's always a stressful match. This build does have enough basic lands and the pitch interaction with the Solitudes in the main plus additional forces in the board that you can probably get over. But it could go either way. If they came out a little faster here, I probably would have been overrun. On to the final round.
The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables.
I'm on the draw in round 5 versus another Yorion strategy. No rest for the weary today. All of these rounds are going to be really long. Mulligan, banger. I'm going to keep and bottom Wasteland. I would like to find a blue card to go with this force. Otherwise, the plan is fully unfolded ahead of me here. Blue to Delta. That's probably good news. Or we got some Esper Vile in the chat instead of whatever else. Death and Taxes. Not that I'm happy to see Tamiyo against me either. Okay, this might be... I think this Ponder's job is to be a blue card, not to be a Ponder. I got a handful of powerful permanents that continuously impact the game as long as they exist. And I would like for them to exist. Oh, opponent kept the old one-lander, huh? Well, I was going to debate whether I develop Beanstalk or Thalia, but drawing the Quantum Riddler makes this easy. Uh-oh. Oh, Bant Yorion something or other. Hell yeah. Okay. We know the opponent's hand has 5 spells in it because they missed a land drop last turn. I'm going to get Tundra and Trop here. I don't think this opponent can afford to Wasteland me. And I also don't think they have Wasteland. Thalia. They might have, like, Plow plus Force, though, which I'm not really in the mood for. Okay. Misty Raid Forest in. Warp the Rizzler. Moment of Truth. Plowing Thalia. I'm willing to go to the mat for this one. We're in. Are we in combat? We're also in combat? Let's go. All right. I'm doing stuff. All right. Now I've drawn 2 cards and have 2 big threats. Another Swords to Plowshares in hand when they untap is not even a big deal. I could answer Tamiyo if I need to. I'd prefer to do that after the beans are stalking, though. Ooh, someone's got a Brainstorm. Block. Yeah, I'm just going to engage this in combat. I'm not actually going to pitch my Solitude. My opponent is clearly struggling a little bit, and I got a lot going on. The Riddler is big enough to bash Tamio down in combat, and Felia could just flicker the Tamio out and reset her to creature mode. If I'm even worried about any of that shit, opponent needs basically 2 answers right now. Okay, I'm gonna develop Beanstalk before combat. I want to know what I'm working with. And if they have like a blocker with flash, I'd like to draw a card off Solitude when I answer it. You've got a Felia. Okay, sure. Leyline Binding. I did not fetch the land that does that in the end step. That's okay. Okay, what am I actually going to do here? My creatures are all bigger than your creatures. I could attack Tamio, flicker out my Beanstalk, and just see what the post... Yeah, okay. I'm going to attack Tamio with both my creatures and exile Beanstalk. This is enough to kill Tamio. My Felia already has a counter on it. I can Solitude your Felia at my leisure. I think I do want to Brainstorm for my land drop here. And I'll get Volk, Brainstorm, Yucko. Alright, well, fuck me then. Now Daze is actually good against me, which it didn't have to be. I chose to live in this world. Solitude. I've redrawn all of the Brainstorm cards. Alright, your thing's gone. My stuff's all still here. A Terminus, a Supreme Verdict, those sort of things could catch up here. I don't know what this is. It's very cool, though. I wonder if this is also a Beanstalk deck. Oh, yeah, it definitely is. All right. Opponent's going to answer Felia here. Okay, so they're Yorion Beans, so they're probably actually advantaged in this matchup. But my current situation is better than their current situation. They just have more cards than me while doing the same thing. This is cool. All right. Beanstalk, number 2. Flooded Strand can get the land that casts Leyline Binding. Well, any land casts Leyline Binding because I have 4 types here. I am likely to end step bind their binding and try to get Felia back in the mix. This could be Solitude mana. Gotta think about all the stuff that a Beanstalk deck would have now. When it does just have 3 clues kicking around over there. Ugh. I don't love that. I probably want to react to that. In case I cantrip into Force of Will here, I can keep them off Beanstalk while freeing my Felia and drawing a bunch more cards. Leyline Binding. Swords to Plowshares. Okay. We didn't get there on that. All right, you've got a Beanstalk. I've got 2 and I've had them longer, but if my opponent goes like plow right now, I might actually be behind. I did plow the Felia. There's Force. It was 1 card deeper. Better late than never, I suppose. I'm going to Ponder because my hand's great. Brainstorming doesn't make sense. Wow, Teferi's messed up. Got 2 cards in their hand. Yeah, I'm going to play Teferi here. Free combat. See what you're working with. Yeah, perfect. Sniff out that Felia, bounce that Felia, draw my land, hit my land drop. And is full of answers to Felia and generic answers to other things. I think I'm good here. That last turn was a little stressful, but now I think I'm over the hump. Ooh, Assimilation Aegis. Okay. Exile 1 target creature until this leaves the battlefield. Though they're a Stoneforge build. You get my Quantum Riddler, but then I Leyline Bind the Assimilation Aegis in the end step, which draws me 2 cards on cast and another card on Enterers. I know their hand right now is just Felia. I'm gonna force this binding. Plow to my hand. Beanstalk to my hand. Binding's gone. End step, I'll get Tundra, or do I want Savannah? Yeah, I want Savannah. Endurance is right there in my hand. A reason for double green. Draw 3 more cards and add a 4/6 to the board. A Force of Will. Take the Aegis. Do another Teferi. Ooh, that Wasteland is dirty. Alright, I am gonna collapse their domain with this thing. I think that's the best use of these resources. Attack. And I am gonna clean up and discard up the Beanstalk to hand size. I don't need another one of those. And Endurance gives me lethal here. That's fine. Ponder. Yeah, all this cantripping is just a little too late. Fetch land. If you use that, you're dead on board. Tough balance. Don't even need the Endurance. Cool. Alright. Well, I kept a hand thinking I was playing against Death in Texas. Turns out I'm in a Beanstalk mirror where they have Yorion to go Omega huge in the end game. But otherwise, pretty similar decks. Endurance, one Endurance in there so I don't deck myself might be useful. Endurance can also ambush Felia, but I have a lot of answers to Felia. I don't think that's a game I'm trying to play. All right, Endurance is out. I actually do like Teferi for once. And I do like Force of Will because the card up the Beanstalk is worth whatever it takes to keep it out of play. I don't think I want Wrath. And if I get behind on Beanstalks, Wrath could collapse their whole engine. And it could kill Felly and stuff, but I don't want to plan to be losing. That's kind of how I feel about that. I could shave one Plow. They have Felia, but as a big, chunky control deck, you don't want to be too laden with removal spells. Oh, I want these Pyroblast. Shit, I forgot to. Can I still get them? Ooh, maybe. All right. Another Plow and a Ponder out. All right. I hope that went through. Looks like it did. Yeah, Pyroblast dealing with Yorion, Quantum Riddler, you have various Force of Wills, whatever. All makes sense to me. And super late game Wrath of the Skies. Just, I'm thinking about maybe having one in. I'm not going to do it here, but if there's a game 3, I'll think about it again. Super late game Wrath of the Skies, blowing up a bunch of leyline bindings, creating chaos. That's something, maybe. No Beanstalk. There is a Felia. Multiple answers to my opponent's Felia. I'll keep this, though it does have some risks attached. If my opponent just starts dropping Beanstalks, I'm in trouble. If they don't, I might be okay. Turn 1 Carpet off of Beseju. Wasteland's actually bonkers here. I've found the Loam for the first time in the entire league. And the card Wasteland in this matchup is a powerful one, especially if you could do it a lot. I could play around this Carpet for a little while, but it will eventually make mana. And my opponent did see 1 Wasteland last game. Bummer. All right. Yeah, they're on the card draw half of the deck, not the creature half of the deck. That hurts. Brainstorm. All right. I will take my medicine on Brainstorm. Tundra, Brainstorm, Force of Will, no blue card. It's probably still better than one of these random lands, though. All right, you've got mana advantage. You've got a mana engine and a card draw engine. How dead am I? Tamiyo's here. Surprise Ponder. It won't be easy to draw another card with a blue and a green mana available. Did shuffle that. I'm going to plow in the end step off of a Savannah. If they have Force of Will, that triggers Beanstalk and it flips Tamiyo. But if they have Force of Will, Tamiyo's not dying anyway. All right, it's dead. We did it. Oh my god. Hook this to my veins. Wasteland your Tundra. Life from the Loam. With 3 targets. Now I wish I didn't have an island in play. Oh no, you demon. All right, Force of Negation is in. Okay, well, that ended quickly. Brief excitement, and then shattered back to reality. Yorion's in hand. Okay, I think my job here is to remove up the Beanstalk from play. I have multiple shots at it because I could cast 2 bindings. Right, up the Beanstalk, get out of here. I could also just take the Carpet right now. Yeah, I'll do that. Please don't have Force of Vigor. Okay, now nobody has an engine. We both have 3 mana, 3 cards in hand. It's a fair game all around. No nonsense, please. I'd feel so much better with a blue card. Shit. All right, well, now they're back in business. They can either have their Beanstalk or their Carpet back. Beanstalk is a reasonable decision. It hit something. More stuff is happening. Just fetching. It's playing around Stifle, I suppose. Okay. Not mad about it. I will take the Force of Will. It's a little late. But I do have Felia out here trying to do stuff. Stoneforge Mystic. I think I have to let that cook. Try to Solitude it next turn. Meteor Sword in your hand. Here's Felia. Windswept Teeth. What are my options here? I can ponder to try to find an answer to Stoneforge. I was definitely wrong to board the Plows out. I was thinking about Felia. I saw Stoneforge game 1. I saw Tamiyo game 1. That was a complete disaster. Just bad play by me. All right, I'm going to cast Ponder. And I'm going to tap the correct land to do it. The one that doesn't really cast other spells in my deck. Okay. All right, I'm back in. Okay. Riddler, Felia, Beanstalk, No shuffle. Beanstalk. There's one unknown card in their hand, as long as it's not Force of Will. Okay. Solitude. Pitch this. Draw Quantum Riddler. Now I have Force Blue card, and I can scam Quantum Riddler next turn if nothing truly terrifying happens. Okay, that's handled. And I think I actually need to flicker my Beanstalk here. I could flicker Leyline Binding, which could give them Carpet but take away their Beanstalk. If I give them Carpet, they can cast Meteor Sword. All right, I'm going to flicker my Beanstalk and hope I draw a different blue card so I can keep my Quantum Riddler. Beanstalk, are we back? All right, Beanstalk trigger, blue card. Any other blue card? Another Beanstalk, all right. That's one way to do it. I have to force Yorion, and then this Meteor Sword is ticking. And Meteor Sword's not that bad if they don't have Thalia to keep going nuts with it. Just Surveil to the top, don't like that. Play to land. Now that means they can't have Yorion Force Blue card in hand. They could have Pyroblast or Veil of Summer, I guess. All right. Oh no, that's so good. Going after my Beanstalk. That's actually fine. It's going to have to be fine. So I do have another one of those. Nothing worth fetching right now. Blue card? Blue card? Yeah, all right. And now I do it all. Replacement Beanstalk. Draws a card. I get to keep my land drop now. Or keep my fetch land up. Warp Riddler. Draw 2 cards. Flicker Riddler. Be way ahead with Force still in my hand. I wish I had 2 Beanstalks here, but opponent played correctly. It's bullshit. Flicker this Riddler. And I think I want to keep all these cantrips in my hand for the future. I might want to pitch Brainstorm to Force of Will this turn and keep the Ponder. I might want to pitch Ponder and keep the Brainstorm, and that depends entirely on what they do and what my Beanstalk draws. Fetching Mystic Sanctuary, hot. Gets that Prismatic Ending back in the mix. Up the Beanstalk, draws that right now. I don't want that to happen. I don't want them to have a second Beanstalk. There's one unknown in their hand. All right, I'm going to force pitching Ponder on this Beanstalk. What mystery card do you have that's actually good? No. No, wow, that's so fucking good. I should probably brainstorm here. Probably should have brainstormed in response to the trigger, actually. But this is where I find myself now. I brainstorm. Leyline Binding, I'll take it. All right. That was pretty nice. Opponent is going to be able to remove Thalia here. And then Yorion and Meteor Sword are online next turn. I don't think I'm supposed to Solitude this Quantum Riddler. There's too much going on. Clear that card I know I don't want. I'll get a Trop. And I've got 4 white. I might need up to 3 white. I think I want to Leyline Bind to their Beanstalk before anything else happens. Another Leyline Binding. That's a good thing to happen. Take that Beanstalk. Attack for 4. Do I want to hold up Solitude? I don't think so. I think I want to be looking for meaningful interaction for Yorion. I've got some Pyroblasts in my deck. I've got some Forces in my deck. Oh, there's all of it. That was a pretty good Ponder. All right. No more complaining. I was delivered the goods. I'm going to leave the red up, make you think about it. Okay. Opponent's hand is Yorion and Meteor Sword. Yorion doesn't really do anything. They don't have a Beanstalk anymore. There is a Riddler in Warp. There is 7 mana to cast Meteor Sword, but that doesn't do enough. Kept a card on top. Oh no. Misty Rainforest. Why do you want that? Okay, there's Meteor Sword. What does this do? This blows up. It literally doesn't matter. I'm going to force it and draw 2 cards and just keep this pressure up. I think this is how this goes. There's enough permanents in play that I don't really want my opponent to be able to wiggle out of any of them. Hardcast Force of Will. I think the door is mostly closed here. This Knight of Autumn showing up in a spot where it doesn't change the clock and doesn't kill anything important. What's up, Knight of Autumn? Thanks for trying, buddy. Savannah. All right. We got it, team. That's 9 mana. They can't cast both of their things. And I know I don't care about one of them. Wow, what a battle. Good league today. A lot of opponents who decided they actually want to show up and play Magic. Nobody with Agademe the Undercrypt in their deck. Yeah, I definitely sideboarded wrong for their build with the Stoneforges and the Tamios as well as the Felias. I should have a lot more creature removal in. And I did get pretty lucky to catch up to their early Beanstalk and then overtake it. But that was a really fun back and forth game where a lot of decisions were made by both players. A positive record with Bant Beanstalk. In my sample size of 1 versus Flow State, the Flow State was really obnoxious and kept my opponent exactly enough cards to keeping me off balance exactly to the point where they needed to kill me. Kind of a beating, though with maybe different deck construction, different mulligan, or just straight up in a slightly different timeline where we play the exact same game, but I draw Swords to Plowshares instead of not drawing one, then maybe that goes the other way. We could see how it would tip at some point where it just doesn't matter how many cards the Delver deck has anymore once all your engines are running, but you do really need to survive to that point, which I failed to do in that one match. But Up the Beanstalk remains an insane engine, largely forgotten by the overall legacy scene because these decks are not very good against ultra fast combo, which is what the format's kind of about. This deck could play Erode to supplement the Swords to Plowshares. We're not a deck that really wants to ramp the opponent early, but we are a deck that wants to play a super long game. And we're not trying to mana screw them. We have a couple Wastelands, but that's not really the plan. Being able to clip a Murktide or a Tamiyo, a flipped Tamiyo, or an Ugin or a Karn for 1 mana is probably worth exploring in shells like this. And I would lean towards a little more removal than a little more Teferi, honestly. I think you could play 1 Endurance, 1 Teferi if you really like these cards. You could play 0 Teferi, and it would probably be fine. I do like the 1 Endurance. It just pads you a little bit versus the graveyard decks while giving you the option to loop your own deck game 1 if it gets super sweaty. But I'd like to see an Erode in here. And overall, if we'll see what bears out on the overall scale. If Low State makes the tempo decks a little bit slower and a little bit grindier, that might create space for Beanstalk to then go over the top of that. And any legacy metagame where Beanstalk is defensible, I'm interested in. We'll see what happens. Toolbox Hero, thanks for sharing this. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon to support the channel, and I'll see you next time.